Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the business meeting of the Wall Township Board of Education for Tuesday, July 16th. Please join me in saluting the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask our Board Secretary, Mr. Smythe, to please read the sunshine announcement and perform roll call.
This is the Wall Township Board of Education meeting for which adequate notice under the Open Public Meetings Act was provided by notice to the Asbury Park Press, Co-Star, all Wall Township Public Schools, Township Clerk's Office, and a posting in the Board Administration Office on January 4th, 2023. Take a roll call. Mr. Agnizio? Ms. Barbier?
Here.
Mr. Buffa? Ms. DiGiovanni?
Here.
Mr. Maliff?
Here.
Mr. Nasser?
Here.
Ms. Shimko?
Here.
Mr. Wondrak? Here. Ms. Stites?
Here. Thank you. At this time, the board will be going into executive session. May I please get a motion for us to adjourn to executive session to discuss the items that are on the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Ms. DiGiovanni?
I'll second.
Mr. Maliff? All in favor? Thank you. At this time, the board will go into executive session, and we anticipate returning at 7:30. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, I will be reconvening the business meeting for the Wall Township Board of Education for Tuesday, July 16th. Please join me in welcoming members of our Wall High School NNDCC Color Guard with their presentation of the colors and the flag salute.
Colors! Forward, march! Left wheel, march! Color guard, halt! Present. Colors! Color guard, march off the colors! Carry. Colors. Left wheel, march! Forward, march! Color guard, halt! Order, halt! Cut. Color guard, dismiss.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank the members of the NNDCC for coming to a meeting in July, and also offer my best wishes to the Colonel, who is also here supporting his students. Alrighty. At this time, Mr. Smythe, will you please perform roll call?
I'll take a roll call. Mr. Anizio? Here. Ms. Barbier?
Here.
Mr. Buffa? Ms. DiGiovanni?
Here.
Mr. Maliff?
Here.
Mr. Nasser? Here. Ms. Shimko?
Here.
Mr. Wondrak?
Here.
Ms. Stites?
Here. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to make the announcement that the firm of Cornell, Morlino, and Osborne have merged with Meth Fessel and Werble. May I please have a motion to approve Meth Fessel and Werble as board counsel for the 2024-25 school year, effective July 1st, 2024, at a rate of $170 per hour.
I'll move.
Ms. DiGiovanni first, Mr. Wondrak second, Mr. Smythe.
Mr. Anizio? Yes. Ms. Barbier?
Yes.
Ms. DiGiovanni? Yes. Mr. Maliff?
Yes.
Mr. Nasser?
Yes.
Ms. Shimko?
Yes.
Mr. Wondrak?
Yes.
Ms. Stites?
Yes, thank you. There is no student showcase this evening. We hope that our students are having a wonderful summer. I will be opening the floor for public comment, but prior to doing so, the board requests that those individuals speaking will be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when making comments. Specifically, comments regarding individual students and school personnel are discouraged and will not be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The Wall Township Board of Education bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. Speakers should consider their comments in light of the legal rights of those affected by or identified in their comments and recognize they are legally responsible for and liable for their comments. At this time, I'll be opening the floor for public comment. If you would like to participate, please come up to the podium and share with us.
Betsy Cross, I live in Wall Township. My first question I have for tonight is, a settlement agreement was approved for the Central School trailer case. There were two letters, they're found on e-courts, and it says, On July 1st, the matter and difference in the above entitled action has been amicably adjusted between the parties. So it is a lawsuit between the student and the Wall Township Board of Education, and I do not see it anywhere on the agenda. So we have waited almost 5 years. This started in August of 2019. We were promised from Mr. Adonisio, anybody can go back and listen to the audio, we are going to be so transparent on the trailers, you are actually going to be sick of it. We never got that. We got the cover-up completely from the start with Ms. Cornell's firm. I had to sue for documents, won that case. Ms. Cornell's firm had to pay $41,000 to my attorney. They were all to do with the Central School trailers. Mr. Smythe, who has his head down as usual, was deposed. Ted Hopkins was also deposed. Mr. Smythe lied and said the trailers were inspected. They were never inspected. Ted Hopkins said he was never in Princeton. He had no idea where the trailers came from. And he has no idea why Mr. Smythe would actually lie and say that the trailers were inspected when they were not. I spoke to Ted Hopkins on 2 occasions. That was before his deposition because I think he wanted to be sure he got his story out. He told Mr. Smythe to not buy the used trailers. He said to buy the new trailers. So we need to get the truth out, and Mr. Smythe needs to be fired. This is a person that had been named business administrator a couple of weeks and was going against the advice of the architect. Mr. Smythe at the time was also a licensed architect. He did a lot of work for Michael Rattacco. Michael Rattacco went to jail, Pravin Patel went to jail, the people from Bovis went to jail. And here we are now, we have a settlement that you're hiding, you'll be sued for, and you'll lose. You cannot hide settlement agreements. We found out the girl with the Warnick case, that was settled September 23rd. You have also not released it. So you need to get your head out of your you-know-what and start being transparent and start being accountable because people are absolutely sick of it. The rumors that have gone around with this latest lawsuit, how everybody else knew what was going on, but the people up here didn't know. Dr. Handerhan, you got to get out of your office and start doing some work. You can't be sitting in there just worrying about the lawsuits. We spend double and triple what other school districts are spending in Ocean Township, Homedale. You have got to start thinking about the students and not 20 pages of stipends every month. I put in Oprah's. Mr. Smythe hasn't returned them. Her date of termination is June 30th. You can come up with whatever thing you want, but why it doesn't show July 3rd when she terminated, I can't figure out. Nobody trusts the board. You need to hire somebody to do an internal investigation. I think it's Mr. Santiago.
Thank you,
Seth
Mrs.
Hewitt.
Cross.
You need to interview
Mrs.
these
Cross.
people, and
Your
it can't
time
be
is up.
from anybody on
Thank
this
you, Mrs.
board.
Cross.
And it
Your
cannot be
time
Ms.
is up.
Cornell or
Thank
Mr.
you, Mrs.
McKeever.
Cross. Your time is up. The floor is open for additional public comment at this time.
Now for something completely different. I'm Dave Frick, Wall Township. I am also the Secretary-Treasurer for the New Jersey Lacrosse Officials Association. We are the governing body for boys lacrosse officials across the state. I've been a high school lacrosse official for 26 years and was a high school and college football official for the better part of 20 years. I'm glad to see that the board is reviewing their policy 5570 on sportsmanship, and given how hot it's been, I had that kind of time to look through it and actually really read it. Your policy has a couple flaws in it. In item 1, it says, understand and follow the rules of the contest. It has been modified to respect the rules of the contest. Why not have 2 bullet points, one with each word? Because saying that you don't understand them would be like a coach walking out on the field who's not prepared to teach his class. Coach doesn't understand the rules. That's the same as a history teacher telling their students that the United States is a democracy versus a constitutional republic. They should understand the rules. There's also no specific mention in the first section about respect for the officials and the training that is undertaken before they walk on the field, and that is a glaring omission. We'll get to that in a minute. The section defining unsportsmanlike conduct is vague. In item 2, what would be defined as a violent or abusive behavior? That needs to be specified. The closing of the policy says that failure to exhibit good sportsmanship may subject the individual to disciplinary action. There's no specifics. what would that disciplinary action be? A core on this is how you will implement it. The actions of the participants and fans can be skewed in communication with administration after a game. I would urge the district, if they truly want this taken seriously, to have a site manager at every home contest to monitor and report back truthfully, about the behavior of the players, coaches, and most importantly, the fans. I can tell you that Wall High School has what can be bluntly described as a horrendous reputation on the athletic fields, particularly in the two sports I have been affiliated with. Officials in both sports have told me how it is a serious chore to work games involving Wall High School. While on a macro level, I'm referencing anecdotal information from officials I know working multiple sports, I will concentrate on the sport I'm most affiliated with, boys lacrosse. The behavior exhibited by the players, coaches, and fans, particularly parents, can kindly be described as questionable. More succinctly, it is abusive toward officials and the opponents. In 2023, immediately following Wall's loss to Summit in the group finals at Hopewell Valley, the Wall players and parents were shouting at Summit players, telling that they, insert word here, sucked, and other things that are not fit for a public meeting. In addition, the officials were accosted after leaving the field by players, coaches, and parents. While I would like to say this is a one-off, isolated incident, it most certainly is not. I wrote way too much, and I have very little time left. I will tell you I did offer to the athletic director at Back to School Night in 2023, I offered to her that I would speak to the team prior to the season, coaches, players, and parents. I sent an email follow-up, never got anything in return. I can't do Wall High School games. My daughter just graduated in June, so I cannot officiate Wall High School games. I do love this community. I understand passion. I also understand that high school athletics is a vital part of an education. Learning how to win and lose is great, but you have to be able to do it with some class.
Thank you, sir. The floor remains open for public comment at this time. Do we have anyone else for public comment? Seeing none, I will be closing the floor for public comment. We do not have student representative reports this evening. We do, however, have some special presentations, and I'm going to turn the floor over to Dr. Handerhan to introduce.
Thank you, Ms. Stites. It is my pleasure to introduce our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Ms. Jennifer McCann, as she shares some of our state assessments and also some really exciting updates coming out of curriculum and instruction. So I turn this over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for waiting so patiently. I know you're all waiting with bated breath to see what's coming. Okay, so our first presentation for this evening, as we are required by the NJDOE once we receive our district test results for our various state assessments, we are required to present those results to the Board of Education as well as to the community. And we have recently received our NJGPA and Access for ELS results, which we're going to go over this evening. Let's see. Okay. So our first assessment is the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment, which is the NJGPA. It is administered to all grade 11 students, and it is designed to measure the extent of which the students are graduation ready in both language arts and mathematics. The graduation readiness is reported separately for each content component. The ELA component is aligned with grade 10 standards, and the mathematics component was aligned to Algebra 1 and geometry standards. Wow, that is really small for all of you to see. However, I can point it out to you. In grade 11, the NJGPA ELA results, we are scored on 2 different areas, whether they are not yet graduation ready or whether they are graduation ready. And in ELA, we had 94.7% of our students who have met the requirements and are found to be graduation ready. In addition to that, we are required to report out in each of the subgroups demographically, but I don't have that written in front of me, but they are up there for public knowledge and will be posted on the district website. In terms of mathematics, again, 2 levels that we are graded on. Not yet graduation ready and graduation ready. And in mathematics, we had 73.5% of our students who met the graduation requirements. So some notable achievements over the past 2 years, we've been able to stay pretty consistent in terms of the percentage of passing. Last year, we were at 97.2%. For ELA and 72.4% for mathematics, which shows us the programs that we have put in place at Wall High School to provide that academic support for our students is working, as well as adjustments that we made to curriculum over the past 2 years. Some intervention strategies that we will offer to the students who have not met the requirements. We will continue to review the standards that were assessed. We'll evaluate our scope and sequence. We'll reflect on some of our instructional practices, providing professional development to our teachers, as well as continuing to offer the Knights for Success program through Title I funding. For any students who did not meet the graduation requirement, we will suggest that they attend the Knights for Success program, and they'll have the opportunity to retake the assessment in October if they have not met their graduation testing requirement from a different pathway. If the students continue to not be successful after taking the graduation assessment in October, like I mentioned, there are other pathways that the students can meet their testing graduation requirement that they would then work with their guidance counselor in ensuring that they meet one of those pathways. The Access for ELS assessment is administered between February and April to all of our ESL students in grades K through 12. The assessment consists of 4 sub-assessments, so the students are assessed on listening, speaking, reading, and writing, which then measures their oral language, their literacy, and comprehension skills. This particular assessment is aligned to the WIDA standards, and there are 6 proficiency levels. The oral language component is 50% listening as well as 50% speaking. Their literacy score is 50% reading plus 50% of their writing score. Their comprehension score is 70% reading plus 30% of their listening score. And then they have an overall score of 35% reading, 35% writing, 15% listening, and 15% speaking. This particular assessment, because we are working with students who are trying to acquire the language, there are 6 different proficiency levels. They can be found to be either entering, emerging, developing, expanding, bridging, or reaching. So our overall score by proficiency level through the district, I can't report out by grade level due to the fact of the number of students who are in each grade level. They would then be identifiable, which would not be appropriate. So our results are district-wide results. So you can see, maybe, that there were 9.7% of the students who were entering, 20.8% who are emerging, 34.7% who were in developing, 27.8% who were expanding, 6.9% who were bridging, and we didn't have anyone scoring in the reaching. We tested 73 students across the district. Now, Any student who tested can fall into any of those categories. So just because you're a kindergartner doesn't mean that you would fall into the entering category. You could have fallen anywhere into any of those proficiency levels depending on your acquisition skills. This is just a comparison over the past 3 years, how we have scored. You can see for the most part, we're averaging just about where we have over the past 2 years. Dr. Skinner and I, the supervisor of ESL, have dug a little deeper into our current results to start to move some of those students from the developing stage over to expanding and into bridging. In order for a student who is receiving ESL services to exit the program, they must score a 4.5 composite or overall score. And this year, I am happy to say we had 14 students district-wide who met that 4.5 and have exited the program. Thank you. Are there any questions on this particular presentation from the board? All right. Moving on. Okay. Back in the beginning of the school year, Ms. Enbon, the Director of Curriculum for PK5, and I presented to you as the board and to the community the reading initiative that we were putting forth in grades K through 2 for this current school year. And I felt, based off of the data that we had received throughout the course of the school year of how our students were performing, it was important to share with you the great success, in my opinion, that we had. So just to take you back to the beginning of the school year, and in years past, we were using a program called Teachers College, Readers Writers Workshop. And that particular program took a balanced literacy approach, which meant that we were using cueing systems in order to teach students how to read versus using a brain-based approach or a research approach to teaching students how to read. And we were basing their results and their abilities on reading levels versus other information that's pertinent. Where are we now? So in September, we implemented a scientific approach to how to teach students how to learn to read. It's very explicit and systematic strategies that our teachers are implementing in grades K to 2. The resource that we are using in order to do this is the K2 Magnetic Foundational Reading Program. We also felt it was incredibly important to provide all students in K to 5 universal screeners to see exactly what their reading skills were. So we implemented a Dibbles assessment as well as the iReady assessment, and I'll get into the differences between the two in a moment. And we also revamped our intervention program at the elementary level to include a what I need period within their reading block. So all students are getting enrichment or an intervention session with our intervention teachers based on the data from those universal screeners. So what is the Dibbles assessment? It is an acronym for Dynamic Indicators of Basic Early Literacy Skills. And there are 6 subsets to this particular assessment. It assesses first sound fluency, also known as an FSF, phoneme segmentation fluency, known as PSF, nonsense word fluency, NWF, word reading fluency, WRF, oral reading fluency, ORF, and a maze assessment. And you're probably saying, why are you telling me this? The reason is because each of those assessments assess a specific foundational reading category that is incredibly important for our teachers to know exactly where they need to start to intervene. So we assess phonemic awareness, which is the students being able to hear the sounds, phonics, which is taking those sounds and putting them to the letters, their reading fluency, their vocabulary, and ultimately we want to know if they can comprehend what they're reading. So how do we know whether what we put into place is actually working? When we look at our kindergarten DIBELS assessment, now because the kindergartners come in the beginning of the school year with all different skill sets and backgrounds, we did not assess them at the beginning of the year. We waited until we had a couple months of instruction taking place. So we assessed them for their first assessment in January, which is the mid-year assessment, and at the end of the year. So there are 4 different proficiency levels, I'll call it that, within the DIBELS. Intensive support, strategic support, core support, and then core carrot support, which is basically the students know what it is that they are doing and they're solid in what they know. Their first assessment in kindergarten, we had 43 students who were receiving intensive support. By the end of the school year, we had 8. We had 42 students receiving strategic support, and by the end of the year, district-wide, 18, which is the red bar. We had 74 students at core support, which would be like a tier 1 intervention of students receiving some help during that WIN period. And by the end of the year, we had 83 students in the yellow. And the students who were solid, we had 60 students who knew and had a solid foundation for reading in January. And at the end of the year in kindergarten, we have 107 students who are demonstrating solid reading foundational skills. In grade 1, they did receive the 3 assessments, and I'm not going to do all 3, but I will do the beginning of the year and just quickly read down for you. In grade 1, intensive support was 44 students. Strategic support in the beginning of the year was 49 students. Core support was 78. And students with a solid foundation were 56 coming into the school year. At the end of the school year, 16 students are demonstrating that they need intensive support. 24 are needing strategic support, 73 students core support, and 108 students have a solid foundation for reading. In grade 2, we have 47 students who started the year at intensive support, 48 who were at strategic support, 101 who were at core support, and 44 who were at a solid foundation. By the end of the school year, 26 students need intensive support in the upcoming school year. 40 students showed strategic support, 101 are showing a core support, may need a little bit of help, and 77 students are demonstrating a solid foundation. I am administrators and the interventionists who really embraced shifting from a balanced literacy approach to a more explicit, systematic approach to reading in order to ensure our K-2 students are going to have that opportunity to be lifelong readers and really understand what it is that they're doing. I do need to be a data geek a little bit and show you some results of one other assessment, which is the iReady assessment. And this is a completely different type of assessment. This is an adaptive, standards-based assessment. So meaning, as the students are taking the test, it is assessing them on grade level standards that the NJDOE puts forth that we are to teach students or assess students on, but as the students are taking the test, if they are getting their grade level standards correct, it moves it harder. If they're getting their grade level standards incorrect, it will move them down to previous grade levels. This particular reading assessment for iReady assesses 5 different domains: phonological awareness, phonics, high frequency words, vocabulary, and comprehension. Although the domains sound very similar to what the DIBELS assessment assesses, there are similarities, but there are specific standards that the state requires. There are 5 performance levels: mid or above grade level, early, on grade level, 1 grade level below, 2 grade levels below, or 3 or more grade levels below. So similar reaction or results. This is kindergarten's changes. I won't bore you in reading all of it, but I will highlight at the beginning of the year, we had 30 students who were at mid or above grade level and 178 students at the end of the school year that were at mid or above grade level in reading as per this assessment. In grade 1, we had, I'm going to highlight two different things, 152 students who entered the school year as one grade level below, which is that yellow bar, and by the end of the school year, 165 students who were mid or above grade level. And in grade 2, we had 110 students who were one grade level below, and at the end of the school year, 160 students who were mid or above grade level. So what do we do next? Clearly, we have to continue to give our K-2 teachers ongoing support for the shift in making that change in their instruction, but now it's time to start implementing it in grades 3 to 5. Although we had a pocket of teachers who did implement the magnetic reading program in grades 3 to 5 this past school year, it was not mandated, but this coming September, all teachers in all 4 elementaries will need to implement the magnetic reading program. We will continue to provide that targeted intervention to all of the students in K-5. We'll continue with professional development via Curriculum Associates, who is the publisher of the program, as well as offering our teachers the opportunity to go through letters training, which we currently have 30 teachers in the first cohort, which is a 2-year commitment of learning all about the foundational skills and how to teach reading. And with upcoming Title II money, we will be able to offer a second cohort to teachers in grades K to 5, and we'll extend it to teachers in the intermediate building as well, and special ed, of course, as to anybody who would be interested in taking the 2-year commitment. And like I said, thank you to all who had a huge part in making those results happen. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McCann. And thank you to our educators and our administrators who work together. Anytime you change a curriculum and the way we approach a subject, it's a lot of work for our educators. It's a lot of information to digest. And we know that they have been making strides in more than one area, and last year did present challenge. And our elementary school teachers certainly worked hard with this and rose to the challenge, and I think that the data that you're able to put forth is really terrific, and I appreciate it. I hope that you continue to give us those updates. Does anyone on the board have any questions for Ms. McCann prior to moving forward? Okay. And can I just quickly ask, so with the upcoming year, will we be waiting until January to test kindergartners again? Is that kind of the way that goes? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, and thank you for your work on that. Okay. All right. So at this time, we are going to move into the President's report. If you will indulge me, we do not have any certificated students to recognize in July, but we will be resuming that when school goes back in September, and I look forward to that. Certainly, our district is facing challenge, and our district has undergone quite a bit of growth in the past years, and we are once again at a difficult crossroads for our district and our community. I think it's very important for the community, especially our parents of our students, to know that the board is and remains committed to your students. The administration of this district, Dr. Handerhan, remains committed to the students of this district. Certainly, everyone is entitled to have opinions and make statements. And that's just the way the process works. But I will say that my experience with Dr. Handerhan is that she has been not only at the high school, but in all of our schools. So to suggest that she get from behind a desk and get out into the schools is inaccurate, and it's unfortunate because it portrays something to our community that's not accurate. And I say that as a parent who had 2 children at the high school, one of whom just graduated. We will continue to cooperate with law enforcement agencies as this current challenge unfolds. Listen, to be very frank, it's completely heartbreaking for all of us, and as I'm sure it is heartbreaking for all of you. I do think this is an opportunity or a time, and I'm sure this isn't going to be popular with some people, but I do think that as a community, we each need to reflect on the culture that we expect in each of our schools. And everyone has a part in developing that culture. Our administrators and the board have a responsibility to set forth certain types of behaviors. And regardless of what may be said, I have no doubt that this district has absolutely cooperated with law enforcement and responded in a very prompt manner. And the timeline is, in fact, absolutely accurate, what has been reflected. There is no cover-up from the part of our district administration. To say that is disappointing, not because it's personally hurtful, but because it causes concern, and it's a question of confidence. And I want our parents to feel confident sending their children into these schools. And I wish everyone had, unfailing confidence. What I can say is that I hope that at the end of the day, the district response is going to prove out the appropriate interactions that the district has had with law enforcement and moving forward with whatever future steps are taken. I will also say that I think we need to be saying, maybe to each of ourselves, when we reflect on the social media frenzy and information that is posted and how we receive and digest that information, whether we vet that information, is that information accurate? I find it extremely alarming that there are commentary that people knew. Well, I always knew this. And this has been my feeling with past challenges the district has faced. If adults feel that they have information, especially about a topic like this, we all have a responsibility to report that information. That information can be reported to the Wall Police. That information can be reported to the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office. That information can be reported to the Office of Institutional Abuse. That information can be reported to district administration. For people to be stating that they had knowledge of this and they've always known that is very, very, very disturbing. And I'm disturbed, and I say this as a fellow parent. I know I've approached people that are related to me and had some very frank conversations about what is and what is not appropriate, and when it is time to make a report. So I think that we all need to consider, maybe with our students and ourselves, maybe our responsibility in taking a step, because that information has to come to light so it goes to the appropriate personnel. So that being said, I do want our community to know that there is no cover-up, and to suggest that district administration or members of the board would cover something up like this is reprehensible, and it's damaging to the relationship that we have with our families and our students. And we need to make sure that we are moving forward for the kids. Because at the end of the day, we're going to still have almost 3,000 students in our classrooms, and we need to make sure that they're all safe. So that being said, as far as there's been a fair also amount of conversation about cover-ups with trailers and trials, et cetera, et cetera. There has been an insurance settlement, not a trial. There's been an insurance settlement, and at this time, I am going to turn the floor over to our legal counsel to discuss a few things, including just general insurance settlements and what that means. And I'd also like her to make a comment regarding district policy on the acceptance of resignations and how that, just in general, kind of may be affecting the district right now.
I can certainly clarify some of the information with regards to insurance settlements of litigation. Generally, the board, of course, has different policies depending on the nature of the claims. The general liability policy, for example, does not involve any participation of the board, including whether or not a claim is settled or not. The board doesn't participate in the litigation or in the settlements. Rather, the insurance carrier assigns its own legal counsel, and that legal counsel handles each case. The carrier directs sort of whether the case is going to resolve, whether it's going to settle in accordance with the terms of the policy, and any settlement is done in this manner without any out-of-pocket expenses to the board or the taxpayer. So meaning that insurance settlements are 100% funded by the insurance carrier, not by the board, and not by the taxpayer. And because these insurance settlements do not involve the board in this way, no board approval is required, and no insurance settlement would appear on the board's agenda. So I hope this clarifies much of the information that has been circulating with regard to insurance settlements. With regard, you may not. With regard to the employee resignations, the superintendent, of course, is authorized to accept any resignation from any employee, and at a later junction, the board can ratify that resignation. So its acceptance can occur under certain circumstances in the moment, and later the board sort of performs its perfunctory functions with regard to accepting that settlement at a later date. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's probably enough hearing from me this evening, except that I'd like to say that the board remains committed to the Wall community. We're here, and we will be steadfast throughout any investigations and whatever percolates. We certainly are gravely concerned, as our entire community. And I would encourage that if anyone has any information at all, that they please contact the Wall Police or the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office. Better to speak and say something than to not, okay? And we will update as we can, what we can. This is an ongoing investigation that needs to take place within those law enforcement agencies, and the board is not involved in those at this time. Okay? At this time, I'm going to be turning the floor over to the superintendent, Dr. Handerhan.
Thank you very much, Ms. Stites. In my superintendent's report this evening, there will certainly be some redundancies from Ms. Cornell and Ms. Stites, what they shared, but I feel that it bears repeating because I think it's something that, I really invite the public to listen to the words that are being shared this evening. Wall Township Public Schools, specifically Wall High School, is facing a very serious situation regarding a former teacher and criminal charges. Please understand that there is an active law enforcement investigation, and as such, what I say publicly regarding the case must be cleared by law enforcement, and as such, I'm not at liberty to provide non-vetted details, as doing so may hamper or undermine investigative efforts. As I provided in my letters dated July 4th and July 6th, the timeline of events is as follows. On Monday, July 1st, 2024, a community member shared with the district administration that there were rumors circulating regarding a faculty member. As per our protocol, that same day, district administration contacted the Township Police and Institutional Abuse Investigative Unit, the IAIU, to convey the reported information. On the morning of July 3rd, the district received Ms. Rizzatello's resignation, which was effective immediately. That evening, the district was made aware of the criminal charges. On the morning of July 4th, I notified parents and staff of this shortly after the information was made public. As a reminder, if you have any information that may relate to this ongoing investigation, please contact Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office Detective Jose Rodriguez at 800-533-7443 or Wall Township Police Department Detective Devin Corso at 732-449-4500. It is my understanding that members of the community have reached out to law enforcement. I appreciate that. It is imperative that individuals report information if they have knowledge. Following the conclusion of the ongoing law enforcement investigation, it is my understanding that the Institutional Abuse Investigative Unit will do their own investigation. If investigated and upon its conclusion, the district will be permitted to conduct and will conduct our own internal investigation. That said, I would like to speak more globally on the topic of reporting information. As this community is well aware, we have unfortunately been the subject of very negative national headlines in the last few years, often eclipsing the very positive work that takes place in our schools each and every day. Having led this district through these trying times as superintendent, I have a unique perspective that has enabled me to note some patterns. Through these difficult times, I have heard allegations of sweeping things under the rug. While I can only speak to my time in Wall, I can tell you this allegation is patently false. In fact, I wholeheartedly believe that the silent majority of Wall Township community members apply a reasonable person's standard as they view these negative headlines. As I shared in my letter, we can only report or investigate what we have knowledge of. Blanket statements, comments like, "This kind of thing has been going on for years," does nothing but potentially hurt our students, any alleged victims, and honorable, hardworking staff. It also undermines public confidence in our schools. In my letter dated July 6th, I shared with you that we can't look into matters that we have no knowledge of. During my time in Wall, I have had the opportunity to inquire with individuals who claimed self-expressed knowledge on why they didn't report concerns. Usually, the response falls in two categories. The first, why bother? Nothing will be done anyway. The second, fear of retaliation. To those that believe that reporting concerns would be a futile exercise, I can assure you it is not. As mentioned, I think the very public district-reported investigations speak to this. Wall Township Public Schools have a close relationship with law enforcement. We must so we can best protect our schools. What you usually don't hear about is the very many positive results beget from the collaboration between schools, law enforcement, and community agencies. A lot of great work happens behind the scenes that, by design, goes unnoticed. Respect to the fear of retaliation, I offer this. All school employees have an obligation to report suspected child abuse. We are mandatory reporters. There is no option, there is no exception. With respect to non-employees or community members or family members, if you are not comfortable communicating your concerns with the schools or district offices for fear of retaliation, please reach out to the New Jersey Department of Children and Families. Their website states, any person having reasonable cause to believe that a child has been abused or neglected has a legal responsibility to report it to the Division of Child Protection and Permanency, formerly DIFAS. It also provides a 24-hour, 7 days a week hotline. Their webpage also stresses that calls can be made anonymously, which can certainly obviate any concerns for retaliation. This website link has been and is available on the district student wellness website. We must fight for all of Wall's children, many of whom are our students. WTPS is committed to ensuring their safety. Please, if you know something, say something. But please understand that if concerns warrant notification of law enforcement, we will absolutely notify them. I have also heard some concerns regarding whether a resignation can be accepted immediately and without board action. There are some circumstances where a resignation can be effective immediately given the severity of the situation. The formal board action is therefore perfunctory and is memorialized at the next Board of Education meeting. Know that the Wall Township Board of Education and this administration is fully cooperating with law enforcement. And again, if you have any information regarding this matter, please reach out to the aforementioned detectives. I'd like to shift gears a little bit, and I would like to thank Ms. Jennifer McCann for both of her presentations this evening. I appreciate all of the hard work and time invested in our reading instruction strategy transitions. Our district staff and elementary school staff have dedicated so much time and effort. To see these gains is so incredibly exciting. I am so proud of their work, and I am proud to be their superintendent. I am incredibly grateful to you all. I am happy to also share that our summer programs have been well attended and the students are having so much fun as they receive academic support, enrichment, and character education. Thank you to all of our staff working in the extended school year, Summer Explorers, and the Summer Nights Academy. As you know, the district has been very busy searching for a new principal for Allenwood School. Once again, I would like to thank Dr. O'Connell for all that she has done while leading Allenwood School. Her dedication and hard work have made such a positive impact, and her legacy is one to be proud of. I would also like to thank the interview committee members for all of their time invested into the search of the new principal. I am thrilled to say that after an extremely thorough search with 3 interview rounds and assigned tasks for candidates, Mr. James Sturanczyk has been offered and accepted the position and is on this evening's agenda. Mr. Sturanczyk is currently the principal of Yardville Heights Elementary School in Hamilton Township and has served in this capacity since 2017. Prior, he served as principal and assistant principal in Lakewood Public Schools. He was a 5th grader in our very own Central School from 2004 through 2013. Oh, 5th grade. What did I say? Oh, I don't think he was a 5th grader in 2000. I'm pretty sure that, I'm sure he was an excellent student, but I don't know if his acceleration would have prompted that. But prior to his time as a teacher at Central School, he taught kindergarten, 1st grade, and high school social studies. Mr. Sturanczyk is a very experienced and student-centered principal, And these qualities were made abundantly clear throughout the interview process. His professional references are outstanding, and I know from my conversations with him, he is very excited to join our team. And it is now my absolute pleasure to introduce to you and welcome Mr. James Starenczak.
Thank you, Dr. Handahan. Good evening, members of the Board of Education, esteemed colleagues, dedicated teachers, and valued members of our school community. My name is James Starenczak. I stand before you today filled with both excitement and humility as I embark on this new chapter as principal of Allenwood Elementary School. Interestingly enough, my journey at Allenwood actually began as a teacher candidate seeking employment in Wall Township over 20 years ago. I ended up being hired at Central Elementary School, where I taught for 9 years. And although it grieved me to leave Wall Township, it was necessary for me to gain the 11 years of administrative experience that I will use and need to serve at Allenwood Elementary School. Allenwood has always held a special place in my heart. Little did I know that the room where I once interviewed would eventually become my office. Beyond these walls, my story is deeply intertwined with the community. My lovely wife is a devoted educator with this district, and our children proudly call Wall Township their own. This personal connection fuels my passion for fostering an exceptional learning environment where every child reaches their greatest potential. Having witnessed firsthand the joys and the challenges of the teaching profession, I hold a profound respect for our educators. I'm committed to supporting and empowering our teachers, creating a collaborative and nurturing atmosphere where they can thrive. I'm proud to call Wall Township my home, and I'm honored to serve as a positive role model for our children at Allenwood Elementary School and beyond. Together, we will build on the strong foundation of this school, fostering a culture of excellence, inclusivity, and a lifelong learning. Thank you for this opportunity, and go Dragons. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, it's such an exciting time. You know, being a principal is an incredibly special position. It's a job that that you love, and I will say certainly your passion for the for that position of leadership. Being a principal is really a calling, and you have to feel it inside. It's a 24/7 job, and you make an incredible difference in the lives of those children and educators and staff that you work with. So with that, we can't wait to get you on board. I'll probably have to make a couple phone calls maybe. Get you to start as soon as your current district will release you. We're excited, and we'll be in touch because we have a lot to talk about. So some other things. Across the district, there are many facilities improvements taking place. Some projects are publicly visible, such as the parking lot improvements at West Belmar Elementary School. And some projects are indoor projects, such as restroom renovations, not as easily seen by the public, but there's a whole lot that is going on for improving our facilities to welcome our students and staff back in September. So next month, I certainly expect to report out with greater detail. We're in the throes of it right now, but I am happy to give an update to Old Mill, the Old Mill community. The asbestos abatement project is on schedule, and things are really, knock on wood, moving nicely, and more to come. And can't wait to start showing you some pictures, hopefully towards the end of the month, on the website of some projects that we're wrapping up. So I would be remiss if I did not, I think we still have a couple members of the NNDCC here. I cannot thank the NNDCC enough, along with the Colonel, for coming out in July It is, right in the middle of their summer break, and I'm incredibly grateful for their dedication to our school district because it just speaks to the honor and character of the NNDCC. And I look forward to working with them and growing the program. And we have some really exciting things to look forward to with our NNDCC. Stay tuned because we're going to be showcasing some really special things this upcoming year. So with that, I'm going to turn the program back over to our Board of Education President, Ms. Stites.
Thank you, Dr. Handerhan, and welcome, Mr. S. I'm going with Mr. S. We're thrilled to have you. Tremendous responsibility. As with all of our elementary schools, we love Allenwood, and we really look forward to seeing all the great talents that you bring to our students and our staff there. So I have every confidence that things are going to be super. At this time, we're going to move to the Board of Education update. I think the board would like to thank both our middle schools and our high schools for including us in the beautiful graduation ceremonies that were held in June. They were super, even if we had to be inside, and I think we all heard the rain on the roof, and we're very glad to not be out in the stadium at the high school graduation. But thank you to the staff who executed beautiful graduations that honored our graduates who deserved all that and more. At this time, Mr. Nasser, do you have any referendum updates for us at the moment?
I believe Dr. Handerhan covered most of it in her report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. As we move forward and we have more accomplished, we really are finally getting to the point that we're going to have some hard pictures, hard evidence of things that are going on, but you can see the work going on all over the district. So we're looking forward to that. At this time, I'd like to mention that committee reports, minutes are posted. Do I have any updates from any of the committee chairs at this time? Seeing none, we will move on. At this time, I will again be opening the floor for public comment. In the event you would like to comment, please feel free to come to the podium. The floor is open.
Betsy Cross again. I live in Wall Township. Glad to see you're saying the Pledge of Allegiance and it's recorded. Mrs. McCann's presentation, nobody could see it. You couldn't see the screens, couldn't see it on your phone. I don't know if people could see it at home. Be nice, I think I'm saying this for over 10 years. Have handouts, makes more sense. Fabulous news on the principal at Allenwood. I've heard wonderful things. Welcome. I've had people instant message me. He was my teacher when my kids were here. Thank God we're hiring somebody good. So I'm glad to see that, and I'm very happy. You went over this, see something, say something. I've been saying it, and nothing's being done. So when you talk about there isn't a cover-up, there is a cover-up, because we've had it on the trailers. So Mr. Smythe lied. He said the trailers were inspected. His depositions prove they were not inspected. The architect.
Excuse me, Ms. Cross.
Don't you go on my time. You can go on your
This is public
time.
comment for agenda items only, so please refer to the action item on the agenda.
She talked about see something, say something.
Thank you.
So I'd like you to go over. We need to know what the settlement amount was. Because
It's
if you
action
think that
items for
Mr.
this
Smythe
public
gets to just
comment,
lie
Ms. Cross,
over and over again and just pay out
for the
claims,
agenda,
you're crazy.
please refer to the agenda
$50,000 you
action
paid.
item, as
Be
this is what's
quiet,
public
Ms.
comment
Cornell. You
is
paid
reserved for.
$50,000 to Goldberg Sagala. So that was a lie, Tracy Handerhan.
Again, Ms. Cross,
Stop
this is for
talking on my time.
This is for
Let's
action
go over
items
Ms. Rizzatelli on the agenda. Please be quiet, Ms. Cornell.
Thank
Please
you,
be
Ms.
quiet.
Cross.
Ms. Rizzatello. The papers keep saying she started in September of 13. For all the records I have say September of 14. So if you paid her for another year, please let me know, because I did put in the Oprah. But of course, Mr. Smythe didn't return it. And, he asked for one extension today. I think you could have terminated her. I'm tired of these resignations and people getting other jobs, like Mr. Doyle, 30 miles up, getting another job because we accept his resignation. Enough already. You can't keep doing this over and over again. I've asked for her attendance record. Since when do teachers get to take time off? I heard Ms. Rizzatella was off for a couple weeks. So this is where people wonder what your timeline is. Why was she allowed to take time off? If it's not true, Tracy, tell us right now. Get it on the record. Every Oprah I put in, nothing has been returned. All these clubs that she was on, do you have sign-in sheets? What were they going over? Who was in the groups? You know, your internal investigation has to do that. You can't hire Athena Cornell's firm to write another report showing no wrongdoing when there was. So get the going now. Seth Hewitt, you've got...
Thank you, Mrs. Cross.
you also have Rose Sergio collecting
you,
almost
Mrs.
$100
Cross.
grand when she didn't work for
Thank you,
26
Mrs.
months.
Cross. Your time is
so,
up.
see something,
Thank
say
you.
something. I'm saying it. Do something about
Thank
it.
you, Mrs.
So
Cross.
don't worry. I keep calling the Attorney
Thank you,
General.
Mrs. Cross. The floor remains open for public comment. Would anyone else like to approach the podium for public comment? Seeing none, I will close the floor for public comment. At this time, I would like a motion for approval of the consent. Yeah, I'm sorry. Mr. Smythe.
So once again, this is another Board of Education meeting, and it's another Board of Education where public comment. It is said that I've lied. It's said twice today. It's said at pretty much every Board of Education meeting. And aside from taking exception to it, it's just 100% inaccurate. I have not lied. Every time it is stated that I did, and this is in reference to the Central School trailers being inspected, that they were not inspected when in fact they were. There are.
Excuse me, Mrs. Cross, please don't yell out.
Stop
So
calling
this
out,
is
Ms. Cross.
Part
Thank
of the
you.
reason why we never
Yes, you're
bother
disrupting
to
the meeting.
respond
Thank you.
to public comment, because this is what it becomes. It's the Jerry Springer show. Every time the Board of Education or myself go to speak with regard to any matter that is brought up. So we're talking about something that was from 2007, a number of years ago. The Growth and Development Committee meetings of the Board of Education, they're not written by me or an administrator of the district, they're written by a board member, stated that the trailers were inspected by the architect of record and that I was scheduled to inspect the trailers or visit the trailers. The resolution of the Board of Education in 2007 included in the resolution that the trailers were inspected. Trailers were located at Princeton School District, happens to be the district that we are compared to on a regular basis, especially during budget time, but they were in use at Princeton Regional School District at the time they were inspected, at the time the board made the decision to approve the purchase of the trailers. And that was not done against the recommendation of the architect. It was done in conjunction with the architect. The original bids that were taken included new trailers and included refurbished trailers. The Board of Education selected the refurbished trailers. One, there was a cost savings. Bigger contributing factor is that the ceilings were over 10 feet as opposed to 8-foot ceiling height, as well as other contributing factors at the time. But the trailers were inspected. It says it in the Growth and Development Committee meetings. It says it in the Board of Resolution. It says it in my deposition that I visited the trailers. So every time we say that I lied or that I didn't visit them, I don't understand why it's even being said. I visited. I will.
Excuse me, Mr. Smythe. Mrs. Cross, if you continue to yell out, I will call the meeting into a recess. This is unproductive. This does not honor our students. This does not honor our community. You have someone who is willing to speak right now. I need you to stop calling out.
Well, it's 5 years later. It's after a number of investigations, and all the investigations came with the same conclusion. The only problem is the conclusion isn't accepted by some members of the public. But regardless of how many times you say it, the trailers were not filthy, moldy trailers when they were purchased in 2007. They were inspected by the architect. They were inspected by administration. That is all 100% accurate.
You're a liar. Mrs. Cross, this is the last time I'm going to tell you. When we do and we go into recess, we are not performing the business of this board. This is a board meeting. It is to conduct business. This is not a circus. Regardless of your ability to make it into it. Enough. You're going to be.
Live by your own rules.
I'm living by my rules, and I'm breaking them by talking to you right now. We have worked very hard to put decorum back into.
You think Joe wants to pay out your claim when he lied?
I'll just, so just for, also for clarification, I was never a licensed architect. I did hold I'm speaking. So I did hold a license as a professional engineer at the time prior to being employed in the district and while also being employed in the district and at that time. Normally that would give you some credibility, but here it doesn't seem to. Also with regard to, and we normally hear public comment and, you know, we don't respond because that would be all we would be doing as opposed to doing the board's business. But since I did speak, I'm going to take the opportunity to clarify some other things because statements such as Oprah requests are never returned, when in fact, you know, they are returned. And I'd like to point out, and please indulge me, I apologize, but you know, we handle a lot of Oprahs in this district. So for the last school year, 23-24, we received 132 Oprah requests. And we provided over 9,000 pages of government records. Every one of those requests were responded to, including all the documents that were provided. This is the 24-25 school year. We've been in business 8 days. We've had 8 business days as of July 1. We've received 13 Oprah requests already.
Please stop calling out, ma'am.
So with regard to not providing responses or not providing records to any Oprah requests, we've already responded to 6 of those Oprah requests and provided documents that were available to a number of them. We have 2 Oprah requests that are due tomorrow. We have 2 Oprah requests that are due the following day on Thursday, and we have 3 Oprah requests that are due on Friday. We do ask for extensions because in the one example, we received a notice for tort claims that have been received for the school year. So if we do have tort claims and they do include information that is, and I say required to be redacted by the district, they are reviewed and they are redacted. We are not permitted to put out confidential personal information, whether it's regarding personnel or whether it's regarding students. So that information needs to be reviewed and it requires redaction. There was a reference made in the first public comment with regard to the Oprah lawsuit where we withheld documents and the documents were provided by order of the court. I will clarify that there were no documents withheld from the requester and that no additional documents were provided based on the ruling of the court. The documents that were in question were attorney invoices. All of the invoices that the district had received were provided. What the district did through our board counsel is redact the names, and when we redact, we black it out, the names of staff, school district staff, municipal staff, residents, anyone who spoke with the attorney, anyone who spoke during the investigation to provide some confidentiality for them. Their names were redacted on the invoices when they were requested from members of the public. A judge ruled that we were not permitted to redact the names of those individuals and that we had to provide the invoices with the names unredacted. I will say that the new legislation that was passed with regard to Oprah would probably allow us to redact the names because one of the things you can do is redact personal or confidential information or redact information if you think it would protect those individuals from being harassed by the release of said information. But the judge ruled that we had to provide the invoices unredacted, so that is what the district did. But there were no documents withheld and no additional documents that were provided. I clarified the number of Oprahs we responded to. With regard to the trailers, that they were in fact inspected. It says it in the Growth and Development Committee meetings. It says it in the resolution. And those aren't written by me. Those are acts of the Board of Education. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smythe. So at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Ms. DiGiovanni?
I'll second it.
Second, Mr. Wondrak. Mr. Smythe, roll call, please.
Mr. Agnesi?
Yes, but I abstain from 16F.
Noted. Ms. Barbier?
Yes.
Mr. Buffer? Oh, sorry, he's not here. Ms. DiGiovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Maliv?
Yes, I will abstain from 16F.
Noted. Mr. Nasser?
Yes, but I will abstain from 13A and B. I wasn't at the meeting.
Noted. Ms. Shimko?
Yes.
Mr. Wondrak?
Yes.
Ms. Stites?
Yes, thank you. At this time, I hope that everybody's staying hydrated and enjoying their summer and staying safe. And I would just like to restate our commitment to our students in this district. And I wish everybody a great remainder of July, and we will see you in August. The meeting is adjourned.